Hey everybody, it's Tripl-L here to talk about My Hero Academia, chapter 418. It's been a while. I was sick for a very long time and now we're here. Last week I tried, but I have a bird that does not like it when I talk when he's not nearby. So I couldn't do last week's video because he didn't ruin it. He just made it difficult to edit out the squawking. And in all honesty, also, I really didn't have a lot to say for the previous chapters. Like, I thought they were visually interesting, but you know, there's only so much you can really do, and like they were very slow in that regard. Sorry, I'm just looking at them. So we're gonna get into this chapter and talk about what is really good in it, and there are a lot of really interesting moments. In this case, I believe a lot of the value is in the dialogue. Okay, so let's get into it. The first page. Is there anything really of value on the first page other than being an establishing shot? Not really. We all know how this one goes. Second page. Is there anything of value on the second page? This is the page where we see that Tenko's freaking out and we're about to get Tenko's sister coming in, and we have Izuku turning into a little boy to stop it. Now the second page, what it really quickly does is just justifying why Izuku is able to survive decay, and of course we're in a not a physical world, we're in a physical mental world. So Izuku can fight it just by force of will. Not a really big deal there. Horikoshi has to explain it though, because someone's going to complain if he doesn't explain it. Now, one of the interesting things that comes about on, I believe, page 4. Oops. Actually, I'm looking at it now, and page 4 is probably one of the most important pages for the whole chapter. So, one of the things we see here is that Izuku is giving himself value by saying that the last piece to hit him with is me, because he's a piece of one for all as well, which led in from page 3 and saying how he's already thrown in all of the one for all thing. You know, it's always little things, but it's valuable to have this kind of significance being put into a character. Usually this just gives more of a feeling of connectivity. This is good to reinforce. Really simple piece of inner monologue, but it really just reaffirms how Izuku sees himself in this whole thing. Hello, sir. Did you want to be in the camera too? Okay, well, anyway, we're talking about Shigaraki, not the bird. One of the most important things in this page, and really, you gotta really think about the way that Horikoshi decides to play with the wording of any particular chapter, or how some words become more prominent depending on what the theme of the chapter is going to be. At the end of the chapter, you have All For One saying, "Yo, Tenko, you've never had a choice." And then you have this happening in page 4. So like the read that happens here is, so when you have this thing here about it was my choice, when you have All For One's thing at the end, it's specifically answering this and saying like, nah bro, you never had a choice. What's also really interesting here is that this is one of the first times that you actually have this direct thing of it was my choice to destroy this house and my family, otherwise what's the point of these hands. You've never seen this rationalization come from Shigaraki, where he's specifically saying like, because I have these hands, that I must have, like, these hands must have come about because I wanted to destroy this. That is a very dangerous line of thought, and this is the most vulnerable bit of thoughts that you're getting from Shigaraki and Tenko. And also when you have a huge surge of Tenko's emotions, what you have there is like, this is how this kid feels. He's rationalizing that decay would never have happened if he didn't want to destroy things. Anyway, it's a very powerful line and very important for what's about to go down here. And of course, you know, if we have to talk about why this is incorrect, we saw the flashback. We know how this went down. Tenko did not choose to destroy his house and his family. Like, his mom was coming out to him. He had no choice in the matter. He didn't want to kill his mom. The only time that he became gleeful about what was going down was when his dad whacked him, and he went on the offensive on that one, right? That was just a burst of anger, justifiable anger. What's actually really interesting here is that the hands themselves is what triggers the thought about it was my choice to destroy this family. Honestly, this in combination with the final page, probably the best pages of the chapter. Page 5 is a little bit sad, only because he's saying like, because I'm such a monster, who would validate this existence? So that's a really nice thought there in terms of just like how effective it was. And I think Izuku did a really good job kind of summarizing. On one side, the hatred and the catharsis, that is very real. The hatred and catharsis, you see it when he's using it against his father. The grief and confusion is very much Tenko, and it's like what's just him trying to figure out why things happened the way they did. Okay, I think we're here at page 6 according to my count. So with with All For One's reemergence at the end there, we all knew All For One was coming back. With his reemergence there, you know, one of the things with All For One, he knew where Tenko was when he had to go find Tenko. So one of the big things there is that told us that this guy had been watching him, that he was watching him to an insane degree, because he was talking to the guy's dad. He was whining and dining the dad, right? As we move into this spot of All For One saying that everything was him, right? I really hope that we do not take away what happened in the city, specifically with that old lady on the screen. The reason you don't want to take away the thing that the old lady said is because, or that the old lady did, is because I think it would be very powerful if All For One said, like, yeah, you know, I saw him destroy the house. It was what I was expecting to happen at some point. But you know, it would be cool if All For One said, I count on people to be shitty. I don't have to do anything there. If All For One was actually involved in this, and he had, for instance, a quirk that increased the fear response in people, or increased the fears in people, I think that would be extremely bad. I think it's better just to say that people are inherently shitty sometimes, and he was able to rely on people's inherent shittiness to get Tenko a little bit further over the edge. I think that would be a very powerful statement. I think that taking that away from the regular common folk of Hero Academia would not be great. Because then it really does show that all of Tenko's life really is built on a lie, and I think that's a little bit too depressing. Also, because like in that situation, it kind of exonerates the civilians, because now it says like actually the regular civilian actually probably is a lot nicer than what Shigaraki believes, right? That's the big problem, is because it just now everyone turns into a victim pretty much. Okay, so after that we go through a few pages of just Shigaraki being like, bro, no, I'm doubling down. And if there's one thing that might throw a wrench in all of this, it's Shigaraki doubling down. At that point, let's talk about Shigaraki and his habit of doubling down, right? So the big thing here is that to save Shigaraki, you need to turn him into a victim. And that's pretty much what this chapter is trying to do. Yo, Cokes, you want this? Okay. That's what this chapter is trying to do. The thing is, because Shigaraki has this habit of doubling down even when he's being used like a meat puppet, we could be in a situation where even though he knows he's a fabricated creation of All For One's making, he still decides, nah, I'm going to make the best of it. I'm going to be the hero to the villains. Also, I don't think villains need a hero of their own. That just turns into a cult leader. Also, showing a bunch of people who just feel really bad about society, or like have been like burned by society, or just don't fit in with it, does not add to your cause. It's like saying racists need a hero of their own. No, they don't. They don't. They really, really don't. They don't need that. All right. So this whole line of thought about villains needing a hero of their own, no. No, no, no. We're better off trying to save those people than what's it called, validating those people. That's my like hardcore stance on the matter. And so at this point is we find out, well, we see All For One's memories, and this is where I have to really applaud Horikoshi, because it's just like, you know, I thought that All For One was watching the family. I didn't realize this guy was going after Kotaro. I didn't realize this guy was making contact from as posing as a guy from Koga Construction. That was wild. So props to Horikoshi on that. Seriously, big props. This goes really deep. I also saw a White Despair commenter told me that people are going crazy because they're now saying, oh, yo, like, All For One took Tenko's quirk. I personally, I think All For One was just trying to figure this out. He was just trying to keep tabs on it, trying to see, like, oh, what quirk does he have? You can see multiple times that he was trying to get Tenko into his system, being like, yo, bro, you want a doctor? I know one. We all know which doctor he would have gone to. So I really think that All For One was just keeping tabs on the situation. I don't think he did anything, like any big tampering. We did see that there was the memory of Tenko being walked back home that day. That might be a day that the quirk was implanted into Tenko, and then just, you know, just had to wait for the right situation. Some people were surprised that All For One came back, but it's like, nah, like, we've seen how vestiges work. He was just suppressed. He was always going to come back. Heck, man, I'm waiting for, like, the death for All For One to say that his death allowed for him to strengthen a little bit to get back out. Anyway, the final page of the chapter is like that really big one where we find out no choice has been Tenko's. We also have Shigaraki being swallowed up very physically here. I thought that was a really cool image. We see the gulp sound effect, so like Shigaraki's been swallowed by All For One because he got weakened by Izuku. All cool stuff. I'm excited to see where this goes. we all thought that All For One was going to come back. It'd be very strange for him to not come back when we know how vestiges work. I think this is great. You guys have been following me. You know that I believed that Shigaraki needed to be turned into a victim, and that's pretty much where we're going. The only big wrinkle coming up is whether or not Shigaraki's going to double down anyway. But at this point, no, I think like to some degree, like Tenko's going to be saved here. Now, at that point, we got to talk about what happens now. I just thought that just a few moments ago, it came to me that Aizawa might just be at the Seto battlefield. And the reason I bring that up is because like we still have to figure out how that battlefield fits into things. Because of the way stories work, Hero Academia or like Izuku's battle can't be the final battle until that battlefield is sorted. So the big question here is like, how are we going to break away from this one? Is Kurogiri and Seto going to suddenly show up and then we go into a flashback? I have no idea. Are we going to take a break from this battlefield by saying something like Izuku and All For One are right now locked in a mental battle? And so that puts a pause on the thing. We saw that the fingers are falling apart. So mental battle, Izuku gets stalled there, and then we get to see the other battlefields really quickly. The thing is here, what I'm really happy about is that if Shigaraki is imperiled by All For One now, it gives us an opportunity to bring the villains, or like what's remaining of the villains, to call out. We know that Kurogiri in particular wants to protect Shigaraki, so that could be a really good way of bringing him back into the thing of like heroes and villains coming together to save Shigaraki. What do you think about that? Says hi. Anyway, exciting stuff. I'm really happy with the things that went down here. Really impressed with some of the little twists here, but largely, in broad strokes, the return of All For One and the suggestion that Shigaraki's life was not his own. Those were things that we were counting on this channel at least. We'll just have to see how we're gonna go from here. Very quickly, when it comes to the vestiges, I think all the vestiges are still alive. I think this now sets up a pretty good confrontation between All For One and his brother, All For One and Second User. They'll probably just get like really quick little pot shots here. That's what I envision, unless we're gonna get them or give them a lot more than that. Izuku's not alone in this battle right now. It's just an issue of when the vestiges come back into the fray. As for Eri, I think is still gonna be valuable here. I don't know what exactly she's going to do, but somehow Eri's going to show up and she's going to be able to help Izuku at a pivotal moment. Yeah, we're going to have to see where exactly we go from here, guys. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I hope you have an absolutely great day. Bird says bye, too. Say bye. He's bobbing. Do you want to say something? No? Okay. Okay. That's it for me. Till next time.